Hello, everyone, and welcome to Inspiring Women Revolution, my very first visual recorded podcast episode. Oh, and the exciting thing is you can watch it here on YouTube, or you can also listen to it still on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, which I'm really thrilled about. So hopefully I don't do anything visual that you won't be able to hear on the podcast, but worst case scenario, you can always pop over to YouTube and see this episode. So today's episode is sort of jumbled around, a little bit about standing up for yourself, as young women. So for any of my young viewers, I do like to share about how and sort of the way you should stand up for yourself when you're in a situation. And the reason I bring this topic up is because my daughter is going through some things at school. And if it doesn't bring back memories to when I was in school, it's really, really crazy, right? So all of a sudden I get a little like, uh-oh, I got to get in mama bear mode. But then I take that step back and I go, well, hang on a second. Is mama bear mode the best way? Or should I really teach my daughter how to handle her situation and also be there to support her? And it's really, really hard. And I don't know if you all have had flashbacks of when you were in middle school. But middle school is scary. It's scary. Middle school, I feel like, is the biggest transition. High school is tough too, but I feel like you have a little more of a direction. Where in middle school, you're just becoming this person. You're out of elementary school, out of like being babied, and now here you are, and you got to figure it out. And all these other kids are trying to figure out how to be themselves also. And so if you have kids, you can totally relate to this. Or even if you don't have kids and you're having a flashback or a sense memory, then, you really understand kind of how you formulated yourself from the time, you were around that 11, 12, 13 age to who you are now. And I think that's, it sits with you your whole life, right? Because you have to spend all that time. I know I've spoke about this before on other podcasts, but you really spend a lot of your life unwinding what was done either to you. I like to call it for you, what was done for you as a child, because that's what teaches us how to be the person we are today, good or bad. I mean, we all make our choices, right? So, and some of us don't really have the opportunity or the knowledge or the know-how to move in a direction that benefits our own life. We don't see it, right? Because as we get older and all these layers are put on us, we get blocked, right? Our vision just goes tunnel because that's all we know. And with everything that's going on in the world today, our tunnel vision has come out more than ever, right? Because everyone's feelings and whatnot have been blocked inside. So to go back to, that's probably another podcast. Maybe I'll get to it today. Maybe I won't. But that tunnel vision of your mind that stays in this little narrow path, which is why we see all these opinions coming out today, because people have trapped them inside, right? We're not working through them. We're working at them. Right, we're getting it out of our system and out into social media or wherever they're going, and it's not exactly the healthiest way to do things, right? Because it keeps us upset all the time. So where do we start the cycle or stop the cycle, right? And I always feel like with my daughter, I like to go, well, how do I start teaching her how to handle a situation as coming into a young adult rather than having adult tantrums like we all have, right? We've all had an adult tantrum. If you don't have them now, I'm sure you can look back in your memory and go, oh yeah, I didn't handle that one very well. Yeah. Do I get a do-over? And actually you can get a do-over. I mean, unfortunately what's done is done, but you can adjust yourself and you can fix your problem and you can not be a certain way anymore. But to help you out wherever you are in your life, I would say, especially for my daughter, let's stop and think about what's happening in the situation before she gets too reactive, right? So I'm really helping her with situations that are going on at school. She'll come home and I love it because she's so communicative. And she's so communicative because of what I do for a living. I coach people for a living. I help them get into I help them create the life they imagine, really. And creating the life you imagine really means to stop and work on yourself so that you can be the best version of you that you want to be. And that my daughter and I will talk about that, and she'll, sometimes hear my side of a session. If I have the door closed, she'll say, hey, Mom, I used some of your words today. I hope it was okay. And she'll express what she helped her friends out with. But then she's very helpful with her friends. But how do you help yourself? And how do you stand up for yourself when you're in a pickle? I'll use the term lightly for now so that you can learn how to use it in heavier situations. So if you're in a situation that is very uncomfortable for you, how do you stand up for yourself that doesn't look like you're out of sorts, or someone else goes you're making a big deal of something, but you're being real, right? Now, I'm going to start with minor because there's always major, right? Minor incidences of how to stand up for yourself is think about what it is, first of all, that you want to stand up for. And what does it mean for you to stand up for yourself, right? Take that time, write it down. It is really, really important to formulate your words before you go off on a tangent and then say the wrong thing, right? Because there's a lot of times, even in my mind, I watch a lot of news, right? I balance my news and I watch what's going on, and boy, immediately I'd love to say, here's a solution, but it doesn't add any value. So what am I going to do for myself when I do need to stand up for myself? How am I going to add value to who I am as a person? And what is it that I'm going to say that, man, when I express what I need to express, I'm going to walk out of that room going, I did everything I needed to do for myself, and I did it with class, really, and I did it appropriately. Again, I'm talking about minor situations right now. I'm not talking about major. These will fold into major situations, but minor situations, it's you don't like how someone breathes next to you. That's as small. It can start with as small as that. Like, hey, I need to sit in a different area because I can't be in this situation. I know a lot of us are working at home right now, but as we start to unfold and go back to the workplace, we need to learn how to be social again. And we need to learn how to carry ourselves. And we need to learn how to speak up, but speak up with respect. And I think we're losing a lot of respect for each other and kindness. And you may not agree with me, and that's okay. But if we're going to have that wonderful human interaction again, wouldn't it be amazing to be able to stand up for yourself and do it through kindness and give yourself pride so that you feel the confidence and you feel this amazing security of, I know how to not only handle myself, but I know how to lead. And if there's a situation, I get to lead myself in it. Who doesn't want to be an amazing leader? Some people like to follow, and that's cool, right? It's easier, Oh, directions? Great, I'll take them. And that's awesome. But individually, especially a lot of us work from home and we're doing things this way, and you might work home partially and then go into the office a little bit. And there's always a person that you have conflict with, no matter what. How do you stand up for yourself and either set up boundaries, like, hey, it's not okay, I don't like to be treated this way, or I'm not liking the situation here, I need to go speak to my boss. But it's the how you do it, not the train wreck of, I don't like how this is happening, this isn't okay with me, and I need this, and I want that. We're not in that world anymore, right? That space is really, really unhealthy. It's like great examples. I love my mother to death, but when we were younger, if there was a situation with a hotel or something like that, and she didn't like the room, or the room wasn't ready, or something wasn't working for her, I just remember as a little kid sitting back and watching her getting really pissed off at the person who was over the counter, the checker. Oh my God, I'm losing my words. That's terrible. Who was checking us in, right? And she'd throw this fit and she'd call the manager and create this whole scene that was really full of negative energy. And what do you think you get when you're full of negative energy? People don't really want to deal with you. They will, because if you're in customer service, you kind of have to. But if you were kind about it and you were nice about it, you'd probably get a little, maybe even an upgrade. Who knows, So I think about that now as I experienced that as a young child, to go, that's not the best way. right? It's not the healthy way. Now, look, that era had a lot of things going on in the world. We just, coming out of the Depression, and the way, my parents and your parents, if you're my age, our parents used to think was different. You held on to things tightly. It was totally different. It's, again, I'm going off on a tangent. But the idea of when you're standing up for yourself, or you're standing up for what you think is right, how are you going to do it in the best possible way that is going to help not only yourself, but the people around you in your environment? And I think that's the best way. That's the healthy way. The communication, being open, listening, because everybody has problems. Everybody has an issue. Everybody has layers. And to consider those layers, that you're not the only one that has them, that is what makes us great. To go, you know what? I'm not the only one who has an issue. And when you do go to your boss, your boss has about 67 other things that they have to deal with, right? So how do you go at it? I don't even want to use the word politically, but just in a very sane, controlled way for yourself. Anyway, that's my shout out for standing up for yourself today. We can get into major issues if you want. If you like this podcast, please, please, please subscribe, and also give me a review, and that would be amazing. And if you don't like this podcast, that's okay too. But you're watching, and that's how important that is to me. So thank you so much. And I will have a new guest on coming up soon. Excited to have someone new on. And thank you so much for listening to Inspiring Women Revolution. I hope that I helped you a little bit about standing up for yourself again, and doing it in a very calm, cool, collective, thought out way before you go into your situation, so that your result is going to be the result that you want. It may not be the perfect result, but it will be the result that you want, because you put that energy out there. And when you're putting amazing energy out there, you will get it back at some point, some way, shape, or form. You will get it back. All right, Ari Zucker signing off here. Thanks for listening, and until next time.